Last week I mentioned that the leaderboard in Clash Royale wasn't really changing too much and it seemed like things were leveling out. Well, it seems like some of the players from the Clash Royale ladder were definitely listening because we've had some huge changes this week. Now, before we get into that, Clash Royale, we've got the air attacks seeming to favour the more aggressive players, but every single time that we've been casting over the air attacks, it seems like they're so domineering right now. They're absolutely dominating and, you know, favouring the aggressive people like I've mentioned, but I mean, how do you counter it, Lethal?
It's very, very difficult to say the least because there is also some defensive decks as well. Even though a lot of the troops can be quite defensive, they're trying to get the extra damage as a bonus as well. So we've seen a lot of spells being used as well to counteract some of these flying attacks as well. It's been very, very difficult and people are trying to struggle to decide which decks they should go in with even before the series even starts. But I look forward to see what changes have been made on leaderboard overall because it's been a bit of a doozy here.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'd like to say welcome to the top of the ladder, Derplite. Speaking of air, he is the man, the myth, who loves to throw in all of those air attacks using the Inferno Dragons, using the Baby Dragon, using the Lava Hound as well. Absolutely smashing his way through the top of the table. Still only 8 points ahead. I mean, look at 1 to 3. Derplite, Shadow, and Dark Knight at the moment. Welcome to the top 3, Dark Knight as well. And Lucas has definitely slipped down to 4th. I mean, still in the top 8, absolutely fine. But his record is 40 and 18 right now. His last 10 matches, he's currently 6 and 4, Lethal.
Yeah, funny enough, Lucas has lost to Derplite a couple of times over the last week, which is why Derplite has been able to extend this lead just a tad in that first place position. As Shadow's still holding that second place spot. He hasn't really changed too much here. It's just the first place position where Lucas and Derplite have been playing against each other a few times. And sadly for Lucas, it's not gone his way. So Derplite, you know, congrats to him, has still been in that first place spot. But both these players have played a lot of games in the ladder over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, Derplite's going for quality and quantity, it would seem, because we've been toying with the idea of do you hold back and see how the ladder progresses? But no, he's actually gone in. He's 42 and 20 right now. So from the previous ladder, we had Destroyer, who had, you know, played about something like 150 matches as we progressed towards the end of the ladder. Maybe he was onto something, because 42 and 20, 62 matches so far. Derplite's doing really well, and I've mentioned already that Dark Knight is now in the top 3. And the reason why is because he is 2 and 1 against the current leader, Derplite, at the moment. But as we look at 9 to 16, Potato, some familiar faces here. Potato, Killer, Destroyer, Quincy, Adrian, and Cenk Aslan, both 14th and 15th, who were both in the top 10, I mean, a few weeks ago, and also during the ladder 1 as well. So definitely some big names in there still. And Game Freak TV still, you know, just not really doing anything out of the ordinary regarding his current, you know, state in ladder 1. He had 16 and 0, I think, and now he's 24 and 14 in this ladder, Lethal.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how the placements have changed over just 1 week. It's been absolute madness. Like Lucas dropping down to 4th, I think it's pretty balmy in anything. But then again, Derplite, you know, has taken down a couple of times. And you said it before, some of the other players haven't had the ratio you would expect in terms of percentile of win-loss. But then again, you mentioned it before, you know, quality over quantity. If you're beating some of those top players and you had many games played, then you're going to get so much elo from that. It's ridiculous.
It's time to dive into our first. We've got 3rd position versus 11th position to show you right now. Dark Knight versus Killer. Dark Knight coming in with the Valk, Miner, Ice Wiz Goblin, and Bombers, and then Killer with the Lumberjack, Inferno Dragon, Barb, Barrel, Nado, and Bowler. It's the first time we've seen bowlers as well in these clips, Lethal.
Yeah, certainly it's indeed. It makes a nice change, Banks, not going to lie, as we can see how it's going to progress as we get into this. But still, though, quite a slow placed game, as still got the Valk, the Mine, and the Tornado, and the Tester if need be, if it does need to be used. But you know, things may change over time, as you do see the Bowler reappearing. It is going to try and be used at some point, somehow, some way. But when is he going to use it? That's going to be the next question, as they are going to push on forward towards that left tower and do a tickle of damage here, Banks, if he's able to. But no, he does not, as still the engagements are going back and forth, and time will tell in these next few cards.
I mean, so familiar as well that we've seen quite a bit using the Valk and the Ice Wizard in defense. They are just so incredibly good at defending. I mean, the Ice Wizard obviously is slowing down, and the Valkyrie just dishes out so much damage. But Dark Knight, as you would have just seen, used the Tornado to activate his own King Tower. So basically, by having the King Tower up, he can basically have a lot more defensive push. So that essentially, he just gives himself a bit more protection, even though he's taken a hit on the King's turret. So he basically needs to ensure that he manages to get down one of Killer's towers. Otherwise, he could have done himself a load of damage just then.
Bowler eventually gets taken down, and you're right about the Valk. You know, it's a fantastic defensive troop by a lot of means. And we're going to see what Killer is going to be doing next and see how Dark Knight's going to counter this. Still playing quite passive as of yet, using that Valk once again just to keep him at bay and just using those towers to his advantage, which is perfectly understandable. Baby Dragon will come out to counter that just to delay that push, but of course it will be pushed back eventually. It won't be anything done here. The Wallbreakers will be going towards that right tower. Now Bowler will make a reappearance.
I mean, I've got to say, Lethal, it still absolutely dumbfounds me about this Lumberjack situation. Carrying that rage spell, when he gets dropped, he drops the rage on the floor. Why are there not mountains of troops following him so they can utilize that rage spell to at least get some damage on that tower? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. You expect, including the synergy of the cards with that Lumberjack, you think would make a bit more of a push in terms of like the additional units to go with it. But yeah, it's a little bit strange. Maybe he has something else planned. I'm not too sure. And looking at it so far, the Dark Knight still has that Miner and that Valk as well as the Goblin. So we'll see when is that going to be used. Miner, again, very good to, inflict a little bit of damage onto the tower, which we're going to see now. And we're going to see what he can do here. So he is out-damaging Killer for now, but how long is it going to last as that Bowler is going to be pushing towards that right side?
The Bowler just doesn't have a huge amount of tanking ability. It doesn't have a huge amount of HP when he starts getting chipped away by the Valk. And also, he's quite slow. So it's strange. You can understand why people tend to favor, the Golem, or tend to favor, the Mega Minions or something, or the Lava Hounds to push, because they can just deal so much. Sorry, they can just take so much more damage. I know they don't dish out as much, but they can take so much more. So I don't know, maybe a difficult choice or a choice that I don't really understand from Killer. But there goes his right side tower. Dark Knight manages to chip away at that right side tower at the right place at the right time, and there you have it. Dark Knight in third position at the moment. I mean, like we've already mentioned as well, he is 2-1 against Derplite right now. That's why he is in that third position, accumulating a large sum of points by beating the right people at the right time, Lethal.
Yeah, I kind of feel like with the Bowler the first time round in that left lane, you kind of feel like he was just using it just to, wait for the right cards and wait for the right cards to actually push on up. But the second time round on the right lane, he was just using it purely just to tank damage so he could focus more on the left tower. But it didn't really make too much progress. We didn't really get too much value out of it either.
Yeah, not really the right deck at the right time there for Killer. Dark Knight takes the win, so now we're going to jump into fourth position, someone we've already mentioned before, and David Rooney, one of our favourites from the first ladder, who's currently sitting in 17th, so he's not doing too well this time, but taking on some of the best in the business yet again. So Lucas GSM in fourth with the Graveyard, Ice Wiz, Baby Dragon, Fireball, and Nado. Lots and lots of spells for Lucas. I mean, could be back up for him, because, we tend to see that if the match is quite even, then it all comes down to the spell usage, doesn't it, Lethal?
It definitely does indeed. I can tell you what, there's going to be a lot of spells in both these players' back pockets. Have you seen the Mortar and the Fireball still waiting to be used, as well as the Valk? Musketeer comes out for the time being, as it's going to be a very slow setup going forward, but that Fireball will do a fair amount of damage to the Musketeer, so will David's as well. So looking pretty similar. Does have the Miner in his deck as well if he wants to use to try and inflict a sprinkle of damage onto one of the towers, which he will do now. But good counter there from Lucas to making sure that Miner doesn't really do too much. So yeah, pretty standard play so far. Nothing stands out as of yet, and I'm not surprised as David looking pretty good in previous games, and hopefully he'll do good work against Lucas in this matchup.
I mean, something worth noting as well, if you're quite new to the game, maybe you don't understand the game too much, the best thing to look out for as well is if they're going to use a spell, you'll notice that, let's say, if you use the Fireball in order to take out some of the attacking troops, let's say Lucas right now, when he's aiming at David Rooney, he'll hit the Fireball as the troop is passing that left side tower, so he can get damage on the tower and the attacker at the same time. So just maximize the amount of damage from any particular spell. Royal delivery, making its way through to that left tower, just doesn't quite make it. And that's just it. They're both so good at defending. It all comes down to timing of your attacking troops, because the defenses are just so strong. They've got enough spells in their back pocket that they can use for defense if they need to make a rush defense, suddenly quickly use a Fireball or a Snowball or a Rocket. And then you've got David Rooney, he's got the Mortar in his back pocket right now as well, so he can use that for defense. So there's actually a lot of defensive structures in this in this matchup. So, I mean, it's not hugely attacking, so it's just all down to timing, Lethal.
It certainly is indeed. Using that Knight every time just to block the Miner from attacking too much of the tower on the left side is huge. He's prepared for it every single time. Using that Baby Dragon as well to keep the Valk at bay. The Musketeer is coming as well. And won't be doing too much here, so it should be okay. It's not going to be, impactful in any way, but the Baby Dragon is getting a huge amount of value. It's now going to be pushed up to that left side, and once again, using that Knight to take down the Miner from doing any more damage. It's doing about 200 to 300 each time it's been dropped, and now another Valk has made a nice appearance here, Banks, as the Baby Dragon continuing on to make sure they keep them at bay, and we'll see how much the mortar can do, because we haven't seen enough value from it as of yet, as the push comes in into that left lane.
Now we're going to see Lucas utilizing those spells. Fireball and the Graveyard spell both being used on that left side tower, trying to chip away. It looks like that's what he's going to be focusing on. So obviously David Rooney's going to read that and just have to deploy as many of his defensive structures as well, or defensive troops, on that left side, because that is where he's going to try and chip things away. We see the Miner once again getting bits of damage at a time, but it just seems like spells are going to have to be the way to go. Baby Dragon on the Musketeer in the center of the base, and we've also got the Ice Whiz slowing everything down. Graveyard once again on that left side tower, and the Fireball once again. This is going to just have to be a bit of a cycle of spells, I believe, and David Rooney seems to not be utilizing his spells as well. He's going to have to hit that Fireball at some point soon, but Lucas GSM looks to be in the lead right now, but, you know, still anyone's game.
Certainly is indeed. It seems to be the game plan for Lucas, using that Fireball as well when one of the tricks pops out, and the Graveyard here. But Lucas has had much better defense compared to what we saw earlier on in the game, as the mortar will get taken out. Eventually the Musketeer just out of range for the rest of Lucas's units. But still though, the Baby Dragon once again getting a large amount of value, and Lucas does have that Graveyard and the Knight to counter the Mine again if need be, which he has done. He's just doing a good job making sure that his left tower is not taking any more, you know, initial damage here. But this is going to be a big push coming through here from Lucas soon.
Again, I have to say, the spell positioning from Lucas has been great, using the Tornado Trap to drag the Musketeer over to that right side now, so he doesn't have to deal with it over on the left. And then also, he dropped a Fireball on the previous Musketeer right in between, so that he managed to get damage on that tower like he just did then already. And then he also managed to take out the Musketeer at the same time. Huge push on this left side. Baby Dragon, Goblin, Barbarian, Ice Wizard, and the Knight. I was going to say the Prince. I almost said the Prince. On this left side. And we've got the Graveyard as well. He's really absolutely going whole hog on this left side tower, Lethal.
Oh wow, that Graveyard did so much damage, and that was just ridiculous stuff. I think it's just a matter of time now, unless David does something, you know, it needs to be like almost a miracle work here, as another Graveyard will come out, and it's not looking too good, as Lucas will take this one, eventually taking out that left tower. It took a bit of time. We knew it was going to come to spells and a little bit of positioning, but that was much better. And Banks, don't worry, I am the worst when it comes to getting Knight and Prince mixed up. I get it mixed up every single time without fail, no matter how many hours I've put into this game. It's just one of those things. They do a little bit similar here and there, but yeah, I always get mixed up. But yeah, looking at it so far, Lucas looking pretty strong. I feel like his late game with that deck is a lot better than David's, which is probably why we've seen a lot better moves from Lucas, especially with the double elixir towards the end. So yeah, good stuff from Lucas in the end.
Yeah, spell cycling just seems to be the way to go if you are both so evenly matched right up to when we start approaching, you know, overtime. You're going to have to just utilize those spells as much as you can, because that is guaranteed damage. But here is round 2 between Lucas GSM and David Rooney. Lucas this time coming in with the Mother Witch, the Cannon Cart, Fireball, Mega Minion, and Elite Barbs. It's almost an identical deck. We got David Rooney with the Mega Minion, the Graveyard, the Valk, the Fireball, and the Snowball as well. We're pretty evens right now, so we could be looking at a really even matchup once again, as David Rooney kicks things off with the Mega Minion.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what they're going to start off with. And like you just mentioned, the Mega Minion, the Fireball will come out as well. So Mother Witch not really getting too much use here, Banks, as we're going to start off with a little bit of a trade as a Snowball does come in, but his Mega Minion will get taken down. So a very slow start from both players, pretty standard to say the least, as you see that David still having that Graveyard and the Valk for later on if he gets into a little bit of trouble. Does have the Tesla as well, so we'll have to see what we're going to do. But a Furnace comes down here, Banks. I'm curious to see how things will pan out over the course of the game with that amount of damage.
Yeah, Furnace dropping out 2 Fire Spirits each time, so that can be a right nuisance, because as you can see, in Lucas's deck, he's also got a Goblin Hut. So you got the Goblin Hut and the Furnace. That can just be continuous, like, irritating damage, you know, just absolutely chipping away, just dropping these out and distracting each and every one of the attacking troops from David Rooney. So it could be a really good, you know, new kind of meta that he's kind of trying to come out with, or new kind of skill type, to just basically have these deploying defensive strategy buildings that are just going to throw out little bits each time and just be a distraction. And then you've got the Elite Barbs on the right. Here we go from Lucas, trying to push out through the attack, take out the Valk and see if he can get some damage on this right side tower.
This is the problem David is going to have again. Lucas is focused on the late game. And if he gets like the furnace up and the fair amount of units to back him up, or maybe even a couple furnaces, then he's going to be in deep, deep trouble. He knows that it's just going to be a matter of time. And David needs to try and end this quick. Not exactly end it in the first couple of minutes, but at some point in overtime, because it will go all the way. And Lucas is more than happy to do something here. But you've got to remember, David's got a very defensive deck here. So how is he going to be able to counter it? He has to really get some value on some of his spells, especially on his graveyard, a snowball as well. The Mega Minion hasn't really done too much for David as of yet, but the Tesla's doing a lot of work keeping some of the attacks at bay for Lucas.
Yeah, still fairly slow, like you mentioned before. We've got the Goblin Hut posting up these spear goblins on the left side with the cannon cart, and he's got the right. So he's basically trying to attack on both sides. Lucas is trying to make David Rooney decide which side to defend more. But David Rooney's doing a great job defensively, but Lucas is just piling on the pressure right now, using the snowball for defense. Got the Mega Minion on the left side, taking out the cannon cart, but it being chipped away by the Princess on top of the tower on the left, so he doesn't manage to get any damage off. Now he's put the furnace, like you've mentioned actually, the furnace is now on the bottom right of the base, and we've also got the Goblin Hut centered right now, so they're just dishing out fire spirits and spear goblins continuously. Another furnace goes down, so look, he's just going to try and chip away this damage on the right side, so that basically David Rooney has to focus all of his energy on defending rather than any kind of attacking. Now he's absolutely going full send on this right side over the bridge. Snowball comes in for defense, Fireball comes in for the attack, and he's slowly chipping away damage. Lucas is looking beefed up on this side. Left side's a little bit down for the tower, but he's trying to focus all of his attention and his energy on this right side to get as much damage down on this right side tower.
This is the problem with the Tesla as well. It's single attack. So eventually, if he does bombard with way too many troops, then it's pretty much done for here. But it's okay so far because the troops on the style of Lucas are pretty staggered, as the graveyard does come out in the bottom left to do a fair amount of damage onto that left tower. David's actually looking very good considering the circumstance he's in. And even then, though, his defensive push has been very, very good. But this is what I'm talking about. Now, there's way too many troops to deal with the Tesla, and the Archer's going to come into play to see if they can back off anything else. But it looks like it's held it for now, but how much longer, as now the Tesla does come into play again and does do a fair amount of work. So he is keeping Lucas at bay at some point here and there, but at some stage there's going to be way too many troops for him to deal with, and now the Mega Minions had to rejoin the fray and try and keep the rest of them back as the Tesla's almost taken down.
We haven't really given David Rooney enough props because, you know, he's still in the lead right now in terms of damage. It's just Lucas is piling on the offense, but David Rooney is really doing promising work on the defense. He just keeps managing to chip away more and more damage on that left side tower using the graveyard spell. But look, Lucas is going absolutely full send on this right and this left side tower. So David Rooney's going to be forced to make some difficult decisions. The elite barb against the cannon cart. On the left side, you've got the Mega Minion along with a load of other troops. I can't even tell. We've got the cannon cart on the left as well, chipping away damage on that left side tower. Here we go. This is the full send from Lucas he's been waiting for, and David Rooney is really stuck for what to do. Tesla's still up in the middle, and the cannon cart being pushed onto that left side to try and take out the elite barbarians. The graveyard spell once again on Lucas's left side tower, and the snowball. They're absolutely pummeling each other's towers, but that left side tower for David Rooney is getting really low at 562.
Yeah, we said it about the furnaces as well, that eventually in the late game he's going to definitely take more damage compared to Lucas, and there we have it. Lucas does manage to win that one very, very close, and David, considering his position in the leaderboard, is looking very strong. We could see him creep up later on.
Yeah, currently sitting at 17th is not what he's used to right now, so he's obviously got the ability. I mean, he's taking Lucas right down to the wire each time. He's just getting unfortunate, which is really unfortunate. Don't forget, you can put !sign up in the chat if you want to sign up for the ESL Mobile Open. Yes, you can still compete against some of the best in the business in your chosen title. And we've got some major news about the top of the Brawl Stars ladder coming up after the break, so don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching the ESL Mobile Open weekly recap for Europe, Middle East and North Africa. We really appreciate all of your support. So if you could just smash that subscribe button down below, it'll keep you up to date with everything going on week in, week out on the ESL Mobile Open.